Well, the last couple of weeks, Nick led us in thinking about vocation. What is vocation? How do we discover our own personal vocational calling? And I'm Jenny, and I'm going to be guiding us into part 2, which is about engaging both the brokenness and the redemption of work. This week, we will journey into how the fall marred God's original design for work. We have in Genesis 2 this really, really beautiful image of Adam and Eve in the garden, and Nick talked about this 2 weeks ago. But it's incredible. They're in the garden together, they're naked and unashamed, they have been found for one another as suitable partners in this good work that God has given for them to do, to multiply and to care for the earth so that it produces for them what they need. And it's short, but it's beautiful for that short little chapter. And then we get Genesis 2, and already in Genesis 3, things start to shift. With the fall, immediately there are implications. First, personally, they are no longer naked and unashamed. Now they experience deep shame and even fear in their nakedness. They're hiding from God. We also see relational implications because right away when God asks Adam, what's happened? He throws Eve under the bus. She turns around quickly to throw the serpent under the bus. There is blame shifting that happens right from the get. And then we have these curses, which is where we're going to spend a little bit of time because these curses have some pretty significant implications for work. They're complicated. They have to do with a lot of things. We're not going to get into all the different dimensions of these curses, but for Adam and Eve specifically, we see that the curse that comes after the fall has direct correlation to the work that we saw set up in Genesis chapter 2. So first for Eve, God says to Eve, I will increase your labor pains. With pain, you will give birth to children. So again, this good work that she had, which involved multiplying, bearing and raising children, is now going to be marked with pain. And then to Adam, he says, the ground is cursed because of you. In painful toil, you will eat of it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, but you will eat the grain of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat food until you return to the ground. So again, the good work of stewarding the land and cultivating it so that it bears fruit and good things is now painful. And actually, the Hebrew word here is the same. So the word for this painful toil that is associated with childbirth in verse 16 when it's Eve is also the same word that God uses when he's talking about the painful toil of laboring with the ground. And it's a word that means pain and trembling. So this like trembling pain, the connotation here is that it's not just physical pain. This is emotional distress. The work has become a struggle, a slog. It involves toil. It involves physical, emotional, and mental pain. And so this brings us to kind of a very real reality that we experience today. That work, which was designed by God to give us purpose, to bring us into really sweet collaboration, not just with God, but also with other image bearers, has now become a place of pain, a place of pain and trembling. It's a labor that is now painful. We don't always see as a fruit of that labor the thing that we want to see. And so I think here we have maybe a little bit of a comfort along with the challenge. The comfort, perhaps, maybe that seems like a stretch, but the comfort perhaps is that the frustration, the disillusionment, the struggle that we experience in finding vocation and in working out that vocation, it's not unique to us. It's not unique to me as an individual. It doesn't necessarily mean, Jenny, you're in the wrong line of work. Perhaps it just means This is a result of being human, of being fallen, of experiencing in our work the results of the fall. And so there can be, even as we grieve that, there can be a sense of, yeah, this isn't as it was supposed to be, but we are together in this, in experiencing this brokenness. But then there's a challenge too, because what do we do with this? How do we walk this out? And we'll talk more about that in the weeks to come. But I think it's important to note that even though the specific challenges of this painful toil, the outworkings of the disillusionment, this will look different for each of us in our stories. But we all experience this. We experience, even when we have vocational clarity, we still experience frustration and pain. We experience unmet longings. And even at times, we experience despair. And so I wonder what that looks like for you in your story. And we're going to create some space now for you to explore that and for you to wonder together how this has played out for you.